In this class, we'll discuss about the Olympic Games in its ancient period when it was began in 776 before Christ. Then we'll discuss about the modern Olympics, which was started in 1896 at Athens, and about the International Olympic Committee and the very founder of the modern Olympic. This modern Olympic movement is heir to one of the world's oldest and longest lasting traditions, for the ancient Olympics began before the golden age of Greece and continued for more than a millennium without interruption. The various legends about the origin of the games cannot be substantiated, but it is certain that they were held at Olympia, near the northwestern coast of the Peloponnese, about 8th century or 776 before Christ. The games were run from early and jointly by Greece and Sparta, but eventually the Hellenes had virtually complete control. They conducted the games with stern fairness, and then the Olympics gained greatly in importance, competing just for the glory of achievement. Winners came to be respected throughout the Western world. Even noblemen and royalty sought honors at Olympia, running side by side with commoners, all hoping to be awarded the coveted olive. Worth the games reached their pinnacle during the 4th and 5th century before Christ, by which time the simple competitions and rites had evolved into a 7-day celebration of great athletic and cultural accomplishment. The facilities of ancient Olympia were more modest than those of today's Olympics. The stadiums where most of the contests were held was about 190 meters long and 32 meters wide. Only judges, competitors, and others directly involved with the competitions were allowed inside the stadium. Spectators, who may have numbered in the tens of thousands, bid for good vantage points on the hillsides all around. There were also a hippodrome for chariot race building, where the athletes could practice, treasure houses, and religious structures. In those ancient days, contestants had to be Greek freemen and were required to undergo long training. Even the judges were given special instruction for 10 months before the games. At first, there was only one event in the games, a foot race of less than 200 meters. Gradually, more and more events were added until till now the games took almost around 18 to 25 days with an additional 2 for religious rites. By the 4th century of our era, the influence of politicians and the self-seeking wealthy brought corruption to the games, and while they were abolished by the Theodosius, one emperor of Rome, in 394 AD. But the virtues and worthy of ideals of the game, that is the Olympic, which were not to be lost to us forever. So, when Pierre de Coubertin, in the latter part of the 19th century, in particular in the year 1896, sought a means to produce men who were more energetic, upright, and disciplined through pedagogy. He decided that sports were a force that could decide and revitalize liberal education. This led him to the realization that a new understanding of amateurism was needed for the youth of different nations to compete equally in sporting events, and ultimately to the idea of reinstituting the Olympic Games. These modern games were to be true successor of the ancient Olympics, founded on high ideals and morals. So, to Coubertin, we owe the recreation of the Olympic philosophy that the practice of amateur sports can balance spiritual values and physical faculties and play an important part in the development of both the individual and mankind in general. So the historic Congress of Paris held at the Sorbonne in 1894 was attended by 79 delegates representing 49 organizations in France, England, United States, Greece, Russia, Sweden, Holland, and Hungary, Belgium, Australia. The Congress was swept by the idea of re-establishing the Olympics and set up the International Olympic Committee. In spite of all the initial difficulties, the first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens in 1896, a landmark in modern history. So, in that context, we would like to discuss the various places and the very event which was held since 1896. So the modern Olympic, as it was considered as the brainchild of Baron Pierre de Coubertin, a French baron who initially moved the movement, and first it was held in 1896 at Athens, and the second Olympic was held at Paris in 1900, and the third Olympic was held at St. Louis in 1904. Then the next Olympic was held in 1906 at Athens. Then the next Olympic was held in 1908 London. Then, as we consider, the fifth was held at 1912 at Stockholm. The sixth edition of the modern Olympic was held in 1920 at Antwerp. The seventh one and the sixth one was held in 1916 at Berlin. The 1920 Olympic was held at Antwerp, and the eighth modern Olympic was held in 1924 at Paris. Then the ninth Olympic was held in 1928 at Amsterdam. The 10th edition of the modern Olympic was held in 1932 at Los Angeles. The 11th edition of modern Olympic was held in Berlin in 1936. The 12th edition of the modern Olympic was held at Tokyo, then Helsinki in 1940, then 1944, 13th Olympic could not be held since 1940 to 1944 due to owing to war. So, the 1948 London Olympic was held as the 14th edition of the modern Olympic. Then the 1952 15th modern Olympic was held at Helsinki. The 16th edition of modern Olympic was held in 1956 at Stockholm. Then in Melbourne, in Australia, the 70th edition was held in 1960 at Rome. The 18th edition of modern Olympic was held at Tokyo in 1964. The 1968 Olympic was held at Mexico City. The 1972 Olympic was held at Munich. The 1976 Olympic was held at Montreal. 1980 Olympic was held at Moscow, the capital of the then Soviet Union. The 1984 Olympic was held at Los Angeles. 1988 Olympic was held Seoul, the capital of South Korea. The 1992 modern edition of Olympic was held at Barcelona in Spain. Then the 1996 edition of the modern Olympic was held at Atlanta. Then the 2000 edition Olympic was held at Sydney in Australia. The 2004 Olympic was held at Athens. Then the 2008 edition of modern Olympics was held at Beijing. The 2012 Olympics was held at London, and the 2016 edition of the modern Olympic was held at Rio de Janeiro of Brazil. The 2020 Olympics was held at Tokyo. So, these are the editions of the modern Olympic as it was held. So now we will discuss about those greatest Olympians, in particularly the first such great Olympians is Jesse Owens in the very field of long jump belonging to United States of America. So he was born as James Cleveland Owens and was son of a black sharecropper and the grandson of a slave. In the 11th Olympics in Berlin in 1936, Jesse Owens shocked the white Aryan Superman Adolf Hitler by winning 4 golds. He won the 100 meter in 10.3 seconds. 200 meter in 20.7 seconds. Long jump with 8.06 minutes and anchored the American 4 into 100 meter relay quarter to the gold in a world record of 39.8 seconds. Jesse Owens died in Tucson on March 31, 1980. In 1984, a street in Berlin was named after Jesse Owens. And now we'll discuss another great Olympian, and that is Johnny Weissmuller. In the field of swimming belonging to United States of America. And he was born in Austria in 1904. Johnny Weissmuller was the son of an coal miner. He became the first man in the world to swim the 100 meter in under 1 minute. He did it under 58.6 seconds in the 1924 Paris Olympics. He won gold in 100 meter freestyle 400-meter freestyle, 4 into 200-meter freestyle relay, and bronze in water polo. In the 1928 Amsterdam Olympics, he won gold in 100-meter freestyle and 4 into 200-meter freestyle relay. Johnny Weissmuller is better known for playing Tarzan role on the screen in 11 films in 16 years. Finally, he died in Mexico on January 20, 1984. And now we'll discuss about another legend of Olympic Games, and it is Edwin Moses, and he belongs to the field of hurdles and an American. So he was born in California in 1955. Edwin Moses, a student of astrophysics, took to hurdling only 5 months before the Montreal Olympics in 1976. He won gold in Montreal in a world record of 47.64 seconds. He won it in Los Angeles too. Edwin Moses is the second man in Olympic history to retain his title. Glenn Davis of the United States won the event in 1956 and 1960. But Edwin Moses retained his gold after a gap of 8 years because of the American boycott. Edwin Moses missed the Moscow Olympic in 1980. Ever since 1977, Edwin Moses has not lost his pet 400-meter hurdles more than twice. His German wife helps him practice. Edwin Moses trains with microelectrodes attached to his arms, legs, and trunk, connected by radio monitor to a computer. He holds the